Welcome to CityWorks, where we engage in conversation with the City of Grand Rapids department heads and staff. They are our neighbors, friends, and fellow community members. This series was developed so constituents can get to know our city's many arms and functions at the local government level. I am Mayor Tasha Connelly, and today we will speak with Library Director Will Richter. Welcome, Will. Will, how are you?
Thank you, Mayor.
Good. So Will, so the average home value in the City of Grand Rapids is around $260,000. And when we did the math of our total city budget based on this value, constituents pay approximately 33 cents a day for all the services that the library provides. Can you expand upon or just talk about all the different arms and services that are provided by the Grand Rapids Public Library?
You bet, Mayor. The library is a happening place.
Yes.
We're the busiest library in northeastern Minnesota outside of Duluth. And for area residents, a library card gets them a wide array of services, starting, of course, with access to our print collection of over 70,000 materials, but also ebooks and databases that are available from home. Many people in our community have a library card. In our service area of over 21,000, there's almost 10,000 cards. So that's about 50%. That's pretty good. That's pretty good for a community our size. At the same time, we also have programming in the library and virtually. We had 60 in-person programs and 61 virtual programs last year, and we're having a very busy programming year this year, especially with our summer reading program.
Yep.
And to just kind of crystallize this for folks, I've brought along a couple of checkout receipts from the past week.
Yes, I see.
And one thing, for folks who use the library, they've seen this, but if you're watching at home and haven't visited in a while, what we've been doing is we put the actual value, the cost to the taxpayer of items checked out at the bottom of the receipt. So I've got some examples to share today. This is a 10-year-old who visits the library, and they checked out $16.98 of materials.
Okay.
Single person visiting the library, and I've got some notes on here. Single person who visits once a week. On this visit, they checked out $81.98. Couple that comes in every couple weeks, $101.94. And then, of course, you can kind of see where this is going if you with a family. So here's a family with 2 kids who comes in on a weekly basis. And this one is $543.27. So you can kind of see how how you can get your money's worth if you're a library user. I guess the last one I have here, and this is something that's definitely present in our community, but here's a homeschool family who visits frequently, and this one is over $1,500 in library materials checked out.
Wow.
And so, if you kind of look at it at the really granular level, the library is providing a lot of value to area residents.
Wow. Thank you. And so people get to see this at every transaction, okay.
Yep, so this is a copy, an additional copy of like a checkout receipt.
Okay.
So if you come in with your boys and check something out, you'll see the same for your circumstance. And that's an actual value of the replacement cost of an item. So it's not something that we've faked up, it's real.
Okay. So speaking of costs, what does it cost to be a member of the library?
It's free.
It's free, yes.
Free,
yes.
For any area or Minnesota resident. So a resident of the area just needs to show photo ID, and if you're from outside the area, outside of our library system, we'll honor your other Minnesota library card. So just stop in and we can take care of that for you.
Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you for bringing that in too. And I just think that just speaks to the volume of not only the people that you see, but just how much like one family can, see the value, not just tangible, but also just what they're saving. And thank you so much, Will. So tell me a little bit about what makes the library, staffing-wise, stay open, up and running, and successful.
Sure. So currently we've got 5 full-time staff and 3 part-time staff, and that's down a little bit from when the new library opened 25 years ago. We had 12 staff, but we're super fortunate to have a roster of over 70 volunteers. So really kind of the library remains a point of community pride and something people are willing to dedicate their time to.
Wow.
So we're very fortunate to have that, and working with the staff to keep everything moving.
So 5 staff, 70 volunteers,
Yep.
and your business hours are?
Monday through Thursday
Okay.
from 10 to 6,
Okay.
Friday from 10 to 2.
How is the library funded? How is the library, say, operational?
Here in Northeast Minnesota, Grand Rapids and other area libraries, this is a totally local operation. In the case of Grand Rapids Area Library, we're funded by the City of Grand Rapids, that's 85% of our funding, and Itasca County, and that's about 15% of our funding. So we don't receive any direct money from the federal government or the state.
So it's all local.
It's a local operation.
Yep. 85 and 15. Can you speak a little bit about usership? Is the usership also 85 and 15?
Sure.
Or?
We're able to, on a monthly basis, track our stats. It's one
Yep.
thing libraries are really good at is kind of keeping track of checkouts,
Yeah.
books in, books out, number of people with library cards, that kind of thing. But we're able to location code our library cards. And looking back, at least for the past 30 years, we're about 50% checkouts from folks who live in town in Grand Rapids, and 50%, actually a little bit more, folks who live outside of town.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of a disconnect there.
Okay, so 50-50, or pretty well split.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay, okay. So since the pandemic, library use, it sounds like it has grown since the pandemic, is that correct?
Yep, so each month, reporting to the library board, each month since the pandemic shut down, our use has grown month on month. So in our community anyways, library is well used, and as things kind of, bounce back, the library use continues to grow.
Yeah.
So.
What else would a visitor to the library be able to do in addition to checking out books and participating in your very robust programming? What else, like on the ground?
Sure,
around?
yeah. Well, we've got a really beautiful setting along the Mississippi River, and there are a couple of fun things that make us unique. One is our story walk. That's a gift from our library foundation. The Story Walk is a children's book kind of told in panel form. There's 18 different stations. They start down by the fishing pier, and they wrap all the way around behind the radio station. And another neat amenity we have, partnering with the radio station, we have McCarty Music Park. And that's a lot of fun too for the kids. And then as people are visiting this summer, if they see work at the library on the grounds, getting ready for the Riverfest event on September 7th. So excited about that.
Do you still, there's a dock, are you still able to hand out fishing rods and rent up rods for fishing?
We continue to check out.
That's the right word.
Check out
yes.
fishing, fishing rods, life preservers, and that's a pretty popular thing. Of course, now with the water back up,
right.
people are fishing, and we're seeing some activity there.
Right.
Yeah.
I hope I get this story right. There was a artist who came up for Riverfest, and the artist was commenting about, I believe it was it cake pans or some sort of, maybe you could fill in the gap here.
So I think what you're referring to is our library of things.
Yeah, okay.
It's everything from cake pans to memory kits that are kind of positioned for folks who maybe have an aging family member with Alzheimer's or memory care issue. We also have giant-sized yard games, Connect Four, Jenga, that kind of thing, and ukuleles. So, and we're always kind of adding things in there. So stop in, never know what you might
So you
find.
just check it out?
Yeah.
Okay, with your library card.
That's what we do.
Okay, fantastic. No, I just that artist was just she thought that was like very special and unique, and so I didn't know if you'd heard that story. So you have a very robust program at the library, or programs at the library. What is your most popular? Maybe is it seasonal, or do you have does it kind of depend on school being in or out, or kind of?
There's always something going on.
Yes.
And I would encourage folks to check out our Facebook or Instagram presence on what's going on lately. But right now, summertime would be summer reading program.
Okay.
And this is kind of the crown jewel of our programming throughout the year. So the Grand Rapids Area Library Summer Reading Program is actually larger than the Duluth Public Library Summer Reading Program. And we've got a whole slate of activities here this month. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, only 5 days where we don't have some kind of programming happening. And
Can you give me an example of a couple things?
Sure. Very popular Lego Club. Thursdays at 10:30 we have summer book time. And then there's also virtual book time too for folks who can't make it in. Weekly scavenger hunts. Kind of a mix of things that are homegrown and brought in from outside the area. And I would encourage people in TV land to stop in and sign up for our summer reading program. You should consider yourself signed up.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. And so tell me about this, the summer reading program now through August 14th for all ages?
All ages, a variety of activities and programming, but also designed for folks who want to participate kind of in person, but folks who would kind of do their own thing.
In addition to programming and the grounds, also internally the library does process passports.
We do. We are a passport acceptance facility.
Okay, so say more about that. A person wants a passport. What do they need to know before?
Sure.
Passport process?
I should also say available is always available online. Information's available online at travel.state.gov.
Okay.
But most people start the process by stopping in to pick up an application, and we can also kind of provide them with a checklist of items they'll need. And so a passport acceptance at the library, we're the only spot in town that does that. So in many cases, we're saving folks a drive to Bemidji or Duluth, and many people are able to, in most cases, apply for their passport right here at home.
Yeah. And I will speak personally that you make it very easy and quick and very thorough in your execution of the process. There was never any questions.
Well, thank you. We've got a great staff.
You do. How do you see library services evolving in the future?
Sure, that's a great question. I think libraries, whether they're here in Grand Rapids or all across America, especially rural libraries, they're really kind of under a crunch. The resources that are available to staff and put materials into libraries, they fall short of kind of what the demand is. Yeah. And so we have to think creatively and look for ways in which we can employ technology in the public library setting. So we're, as a staff, we're scanning the horizon for ways that we can be more efficient. One example you see in our library is the self-check machine.
Okay.
So we continue to kind of examine solutions that others are using and how we might be able to adapt them to our community and our patrons. But that said, it's really kind of a personalized business, and there's a lot of things that require the touch of a human hand.
Yes. And so, things are always evolving. We talk a lot about, programmatic and maybe some, how we can be more efficient, but also just funding. There's funding challenges. Can you speak a little bit more about kind of where our library is?
Sure. I would say that's our chief challenge. Yeah. We've got a great community, very supportive. I mean, I think we spoke about over 70 volunteers coming from the community to give their time. But our challenge remains funding. And really the issue is the disconnect between the support that we receive and the use. So just to kind of take a look at that again, 50% of our use is from in town, 50% is from outside of town. And of course, City of Grand Rapids is supporting us 85%, and Greater Itasca County to 15%. So I think what we really need is some cooperation. And there are different ways to do that. One model that would fit our circumstances very well is the concept of like a joint powers agreement.
Okay.
And that doesn't like come from nowhere. We're not just doodling.
Right.
Another area library, Grand Marais, does that.
Okay.
And so they have the same use dynamic that we have here in Grand Rapids.
Like city and outside the city?
Yep,
Okay.
so city of Grand Marais and then Cook County.
Yeah.
And so they have a formalized joint powers agreement to support the library at the proportion in which it's used.
People are using it from where they're coming from.
Yep, and so we just need the cooperation at the political level in order to do that.
Yep. So, and Grand Marais is just one of probably many examples of those?
Yep, and I chose that example because it's in our area.
Yes.
The numbers fit us closely, but yeah, it's not uncommon for different units of government to kind of see a problem and work together to try to solve it.
Great. Well, thank you for your efforts there.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is maybe it might be a hard question to answer, but so in your position, what is your favorite thing about what you do, or maybe it's a certain program? As being the director of library services, you have a broad stroke of things that you're involved in. Do you have a top 3 favorite programs or things?
Yeah.
Or
I would just as someone who moved to this community 16 years ago, it's kind of the people you meet and the relationships, and the library is a place that kind of is a hub, and it touches on a lot of different parts of our community. And so I think I would say that, all the great people I've met, our wonderful staff, and something that's unique for me as a Grand Rapids employee, I'm also able to be a paid on-call firefighter.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of jobs that allow you to do that, and so it's kind of a neat mix for me personally.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your service too in that vein. Thank you. So thanks for joining us for this episode of CityWorks. It's in our nature to be informed, and I hope you learned something new today about your hometown and our community. Stay kind, Grand Rapids.